Call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Bristol, Virginia City Council today, Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. Please join us for a few moments of silence. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we appreciate everyone coming out this evening. We've got a good agenda tonight. We'll jump right in it. Just let the record reflect that Councilwoman Nave is absent tonight. She is out of town for work, a work-related trip. So we'll jump right into just Mayor's Minute and Council comments.
Couple of things. Thank some people here in the city. First off, the Junior League, Little League, won their district championship and competed at the state level. So I appreciate those young kids and everybody helped support them in their efforts to attend the state championship. And it gives me hope that maybe in a couple of years, as they cycle through the school system, the Bearcats may be competing for a state championship as well. And I also want to thank the fire department and their Swiftwater rescue team that have been deployed over the past few weeks. The work they've done over in particularly Buchanan and Wise County, but the whole Coalfield area as well as eastern Kentucky, just the devastation over there. Just keep those people in your prayers. And we're very blessed that we have such a resource like that, not only here in our city, but really here for the entire region in Southwest Virginia.
Okay, city manager comments.
No comments tonight.
Okay. The next item is matters to be presented by members of the public for non-agenda items. So these items are non-agenda. Just a quick reminder for anyone who does not know, when I call your name, if you did sign up to speak, everyone gets 3 minutes to speak. So when you come up to the microphone, if you wouldn't care to say your name and address for the record and speak clearly into the microphone, the green light will come on when your time starts. When your time is almost up, the yellow light will come on, and when your time is up, the red light will come on. So we ask you to be courteous of your time and each other's. The first person that signed up for a non-agenda item is Mr. Mike Dean.
All right, good evening. Michael Dean, Bristol, Tennessee. I'm here tonight with several concerns about your handling of the landfill crisis. First, I see that you have a bill for about $400,000 for the landfill consultant expenses later in the agenda. I would like to know how much of that money, how much of that amount, if any, is actually working to fix the landfill as recommended by the expert panel. Second, I would like to know when you're going to start communicating with citizens, beyond just posting some documents on your blog occasionally. You are still failing to tell the community exactly what you were doing about the landfill and when you were going to do it. Finally, you need to know that this landfill is still adversely affecting us. We may have gotten quieter, but the problem is no better. I don't understand why the city is moving at a snail's pace when the expert panel made recommendations for immediate action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. The next person that signed up is Mr. Larry Allen. Good evening.
Sir, I live at 335 Jefferson Drive here in Bristol, Virginia. I only take about a minute of your time. But my concern is the traffic on Jefferson Drive, Virginia Avenue, along Crescent Drive. It seems like the people are not adhering to the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit in residential areas. I got two suggestions. One, put up some speed signs and have some of the finest police officers here in Virginia to write some tickets from time to time. I'm sure word would get out to slow down on Jefferson Drive. Second, and the best solution is some speed bumps. There's not a human being on earth that hates to drive over speed bumps worse than I do, but it sure does slow you down. And that's all I have a concern is about the traffic on those 2, 3 residential streets. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Allen. The next person that signed up is Mr. Connor from Cedar Lane. Hi.
My name is Arlene Connor. I live on Cedar Lane in Bristol, Virginia. I typed up a little something so I wouldn't miss anything. Homeowners are becoming increasingly concerned about the traffic along both Jefferson Drive and its parallel, Virginia Drive, and would like the City of Bristol to allocate funds to install speed humps. Over the last several years, there has been an increase in the traffic along Lee Highway, which is leading more people to use both Jefferson Drive and Virginia Drive as shortcuts. In the attempt to circumvent traffic, many drivers are not taking into consideration that these are residential streets and are not adjusting their speed accordingly. They simply speed. Particularly dangerous are the large pickup trucks with trailers attached. Understandably, there are folks who make their living providing services which have a need for a trailer to be attached to their truck. However, driving at exceptionally high rates of speed is not understandable and puts many at risk. These vehicles simply cannot stop in time to avoid hitting anyone who may be in their path. There are also student drivers who attend Virginia High School. Since there is no police presence when the school day is over, it is more common than not to see students race down either Jefferson Drive or Virginia Drive without thought or concern as to who may be out. If we add to the above scenarios a car or two parked on the street on Friday, which is trash collection day, and everyone has their trash can out on the curb, there is simply no room for error when it comes to driving these 2 residential streets. Any error means that I or one of my fellow neighbors will lose the battle with whatever vehicle is being driven too fast. Since there are no sidewalks along Jefferson Drive and Virginia Drive, pedestrians are forced to share the roadway with vehicles. People of all ages are walking dogs, jogging, and bicycling. People are pushing strollers, and kids are walking to and from school. Those of us on foot are doing our best to stay as close to the side of the road as possible, to walk against traffic so we can see who is coming, to keep the volume on whatever we're listening to at a minimum so we can hear what is happening around us. If we as the pedestrians are doing our part, isn't it reasonable that the person driving the 4,000-pound vehicle also be responsible to do their part to keep others safe? In the last few years, I have contacted the local police department at least twice requesting a police presence on Jefferson Avenue in an attempt to slow people down. This is not a long-term solution, nor should our police officers be taken away from other duties where they are much needed. The request for speed bumps has been brought before the council more than one time in the past and was denied, citing issues such as snowplows being hindered by the speed bumps. There are a number of residential neighborhoods which have speed humps and snowplows, and other road equipment is a non-issue. There are differences between speed humps and speed bumps, with the speed humps offering a bit lower profile alternative to the higher speed bump. Given the increase in traffic as the city continues to grow, I would ask that the city allocate the funds for speed humps on both Jefferson Drive and Virginia Drive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Connor. That's the last person that signed up for a non-agenda item, so we'll move on to the adoption of our agenda.
I move for the adoption of the agenda as presented with the following changes. I would move that we postpone items 1, 2, and 3, and we postpone the closed session to a future date to be determined.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second with the changes noted. Clerk, please call the roll.
Hartley,
Yes.
Nave, just not here. Osborne,
Yes.
Wingard,
Yes.
Farnham.
Yes. Okay, so the first item of our regular agenda is the supplemental appropriation of $858,300. Nobody signed up for public comment for this item, so staff report.
Council, on May 24th, council adopted the fiscal year 23 budget. The listed items below are an amendment to the original budget. This is for a supplemental appropriation of $858,300. $50,000 is for Clear Creek Golf Course. That's due to a membership drive that we will be receiving funds for. And then there's transfers into and out of the solid waste disposal fund in the amount of $404,150. Those funds are for paying professional services associated with work orders, which are part of the expert panel report. Not everything listed here is part of the expert panel report, but the vast majority of this is working on solutions for those issues.
Okay. Thank you. What's the pleasure of the council?
I move for approval of the supplemental appropriation as presented.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Is there any council discussion?
I have a question about the membership drive for the golf course.
Yes.
Is this the same program that they used several years ago that turned out to be very successful?
It is.
Okay. And same company and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, we do have a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Hartley,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Wingard,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes. Okay, the next item is an ordinance to add section 74-8 to chapter 74, article 1 in general to the city code pertaining to camping on public sidewalks and rights-of-way within the city. We have a few folks that signed up for public comment for this item. And the first person to sign up for this item is Mr. Mike Dean.
All right. So I am here again to talk about concerns with all the vagrants in the community. A vagrant is a person without a settled home or regular work who wanders from place to place and lives by begging. Lately, I have seen people defecating on State Street and other locations. I have seen drug use, acts of violence, excessive panhandling, and much more. Do you know that Bristol has over 200 homeless children? Why are we not supporting people that are being bused? Why are we supporting people from being bused in from Nashville, Knoxville, Asheville, Baltimore, and Atlanta? Statistics show 75% of those people have mental illness and choose this lifestyle. I am not against helping people, as I helped many locals in the community, but I am asking the city to step up and step in and start by helping the locals first and cleaning up your streets. The ordinance up for tonight is so that no one could camp out on streets, alleys, and right-of-ways. It does not say anything about parks. One of your main tourist hotels is right across the street from one of the worst parks in this area. Many tourists I speak with notice what's happening, and not only tourists, but residents are feeling very concerned about their safety. It's time for everyone to figure this issue out before it becomes too late again. And again, it's not just Bristol, Virginia, it's both sides this time. People have to start cleaning up and doing something right for the city. And that's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. The next person that signed up is Ms. Beth Reinhardt.
Good evening, Beth Reinhardt, 1000 Chester Street, Bristol, Virginia. Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to share, I know you all know this, most of you all have been involved on some level, that there is a coalition underway to address the unsheltered and those that are facing challenges in our community. And I wanted to thank Mr. Eads and those of you all, Mr. Mayor, that are participating along with Bristol, Tennessee, to try to help address this issue. It is a very complex community-wide issue that the community has to own, and I know that as city council members, you all play a part in some of that decision-making, which is why this agenda item is on there tonight. We have hired, there's a group that is working, and some of you all attended the Homeless Coalition meeting We had about 150 people there at the auditorium at Bristol Regional Medical Center. We've hired a consultant from Blount County, Tennessee, Wendy Wand, who is helping us create a long-term strategy. But that does not fix the issues that we're facing that are fairly urgent in a lot of the business owners and community residents' minds right now with regard to safety, health, and the well-being also of those who are in greatest need. We did complete, and I shared with you all, asset mapping document that I think is a good synopsis of the services that are available to those in need who are willing to accept those services here. There are some issues that are mental health related and other that are more difficult sometimes to address and to fix, for lack of better words. What I'm asking of you all is to do what you're doing, which is address the issue at hand, because we get calls daily from our business owners. We think this is a community-owned issue and don't want to put all the burden on your all's shoulders. I think we all have to step up to the table and be a part of this solution, and appreciate that you all are taking action to try to help address that. I don't want that to sound like we're not concerned and have great care and a lot of, I guess, compassion for those that are in greatest need. But there are different populations right now that we're experiencing and seeing every single day. There is vagrancy. There are people, mothers and fathers with children sleeping in cars that we don't even know or see. So we have a lot of people who need help, and some that will take it and some that will not. So we're here to support you doing what we have to do to make some changes and to address these immediate challenges that we know have to be addressed. So thank you.
Thank you. The next person that signed up is Miss Ann Proctor.
Sorry, slow knee replacement. I guess I'm going to piggyback onto what she just said. I didn't even really realize the problem till last night on the news, and I heard the word vagrant, and I don't think a lot of these people by resources choose to be considered vagrant. They're all our neighbors. We don't have floods going on, we don't have tornadoes going on, but we do have these people, and whether they choose our assistance or not, I think we have to repeat asking them so that we can provide them for the resources. I come from Abingdon, so I'm not right here, but just to give you an example, we walked out after eating at Green's Seafood, and there was movement on the steps, and initially we thought it was a dog or something, and it was a gentleman, and it was a very cold night, and I just said, "Do you need help?" And it was obvious that he was mentally ill and needed that sort of assistance, but he did get in my car. Women followed me down to Salvation Army, and they let him in, and he said that he had been denied services before, but we tried it again, and they allowed him in and took it from there. But I think a lot of these people, they don't choose to be homeless. I would think that for anybody almost, you wouldn't want to be living out in the resources around, and I just wanted to reinforce that I am very positive. Like I said before, these are our neighbors, and we need to help them as people, as human beings, and not always consider them, worthless or not of value. I think everyone wants to know that they are of value. I guess that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Proctor. The next person that signed up is Mr. Michael Pollard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I understand that this is a significant issue both for the residents and the businesses and also for the homeless themselves. Some have this as their lifestyle, some have it forced upon them by circumstances. At the last meeting, my understanding was that the council or the city staff effectively promised to meet with those who were working with the homeless in this area. One of the examples, I don't remember if I mentioned it specifically, I mentioned it after the meeting. There's a day center that's hosted by Thanks to Calvary Ministries on Mary Street. Basically, I'm wondering if there was a discussion between the last meeting and this one and what they said, what they think of the proposed ordinance, and what their recommendations may be going forward and how the city can help both their ministry and other similar ministries so that we don't just do something that feels good, but something that actually helps the issue, both for the residents and for the homeless. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pollard. The next person that signed up is Ms. Tanya Kestner.
So I am the library director. Do you want me to tell everybody my address?
You're fine. We've got it
Okay.
here.
And I'm kind of torn in some ways because occasionally at the library, the homeless population has caused a safety concern, and with knives and, one time even a gun. However, I'm also part of the coalition to help with the homeless because they're welcome to the library just like anybody else. It's their library too. So while I in some ways agree with them being off, not camping or staying on the sidewalks, I like to quote what you said, Mayor Farnham. We need to take care of the homeless. We need to provide for them. We have some great resources in Bristol, said Bristol, Virginia Mayor Anthony Farnham, and that was from August the 8th, Bristol Herald, News Center 5. And I think that is what we need to have is those resources. We have some that we provide at the library because we get a lot of folks in that are looking where they can get their next meal. And these guys, here, another thing is mental health issues is not a choice. So, if we can offer alternatives to, hey, just get off the sidewalk, then that's the best thing we can do because we definitely want to help both. And I think you're trying to do that, hopefully, and that's what I'm trying to do. So just let me at the library know if there's more resources so that we can help be part of the future to help with the homeless. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kestner. The next person that signed up is Mr. Alan Hurley.
Hello, Council. Thank you for the time. Alan Hurley, 105th Street. I wanted to first start off with thanking you guys for bringing these different types of ordinances to motion to talk about. We have to understand that we're really battling two issues. We have a homeless issue in our town, as most of America does. We have a vagrants issue in our town, as most of America does. Homeless is a whole very complex issue to deal with, and we understand that. The vagrancy is less complicated because it's crime, it's the drug transactions, it's the violent behavior, it's the running off business for the downtown merchants. That's a little easier to understand. And I've got here just a small list of stuff that's printed off. I've got probably a ream of paper, 500 different photos, situations, reports, etc., that we could go over one by one if we needed, of things of more violent activity, aggressive behavior, stalking. When you stand back and watch someone get out of a car and then you approach that car rapidly and you trap that person from getting out, that we don't consider that panhandling, that's stalking. And so we're seeing these things advance in our community. And the camping ordinance, unfortunately, what we have, again, is a problem with homeless and vagrancy. So It's hard to tell, honestly, which is which, but I went last night personally and walked through Anderson Park on Bristol, Tennessee side, and absolutely no one in Anderson Park camping or even there at all. I walked through, I take that, I did not walk through. I walked up to Cumberland Park, and it was some very aggressive situations there, and so I took a few photos and left. And so those are the things. We also own a business at Michael Waltrip. We own the property there. And people walking from the hotel to the business, we lose business as the other business owners that are here. We're feeling the pain from the vagrancy. We're feeling that. We're losing business. We're losing tourism for the vagrancy. Understanding homeless is a complex issue. Vagrancy is not as complex. We can't tell the difference in the two, unfortunately. So until there are ways to do that, we have to try to look at these ordinances for the camping. And if I understand, this is a similar ordinance that Roanoke had passed. It's not something that was just made up on the fly. It's a similar one that's already been passed. It's already been used. Seems to be working pretty well. And we want to be, sensitive to the homeless. We do a lot. I offer jobs. Just to be clear, every single week I go on the street and I offer work. Every single week since 2019. We have had 0 takers for that, absolutely 0. We will take food to someone and give them food, and they will say, oh no, I don't like that, I don't want it, and they'll literally take it and wad it up and throw it to the side, not in the trash can, to the side. So there are people in our community that need our help. We do have neighbors here that need our help. We need to help those neighbors. I agree with Mr. Dean. We are very passionate about helping the kids in our community. There's estimated over 250. That's from the school board and numbers from the United Way. We should be putting those kids first in our community. I don't know how we can look at someone that gets thrown out of the United Way and other places over and over and put them in front of our children. It's our future in our community. It is, not only do we have the chance to break the homeless street with our children, we also have the opportunity to change generational poverty, which is good for our community. And we need those kids. We need to tell those kids we love them. We need to tell them we need them. Our businesses need workers. And we just hope that you guys continue to work toward these resolutions that help our businesses, because we are feeling the pain greatly and we need your help. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Hurley. That was the last person that signed up for this item. What's the pleasure of the council?
I move for second reading of the ordinance by caption only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the second reading by caption only. Is there any council discussion?
I will say, over the past, one person came up and asked, what have we discussed over the past couple weeks from first reading to second reading. I know other members have met with people, and over the past couple weeks, I've reached out to a wide array of people. I've talked with pastors. I have talked with people who work at the organizations who help homeless people. I've talked with business owners as recently as today. I went several nights ago downtown and I talked to homeless people. I talked to several of them. And the homeless problem, as has been alluded to, that there are two distinct subsets of people who are experiencing homelessness. There are people who either have, a mental health problem, an addiction problem, or they've just fallen on a streak of bad luck and they're homeless and they want to get out of that situation. And then there's another group that has become aggressive, has caused issues, and is affecting businesses. They're making residents of the city feel unsafe. And I think there is a distinct difference. The answer to solving our homeless problem is you need a holistic approach that does address mental health, substance abuse, those type of things, and that's a larger discussion to have. But in the interim, it is incredibly important that our residents feel safe and that our businesses are able to thrive and do business without concern for their customers, being run off or being endangered, literally being endangered. The homeless people that I spoke with, most of them, a couple of them are from around here. They're very nice. They know about the services. They want to be able to utilize them more. And I did talk with a couple who were not as nice, and I got out of there quicker than I did with the others. So, you know, this is the right move to make. You know, we can't let this problem go on the way it has and the way it's escalated in the past 6 months. So, you know, I'm all in favor of this. I believe most all of us are. And I'm very hopeful that this will give us some kind of positive result once this is enacted, and hopefully we'll start seeing some good change from this.
I'll just kind of echo that. I had conversations with a lot of people, including the Salvation Army and the Haven Arrest, who had asked to speak with us. And, you know, I think when that meeting was over, everybody walked away with a better understanding of the issues and realizing that it's a long-term thing. It's going to take, I think it was Beth Reinhardt that said it, the public-private, the whole community to do this. And I think this is a step. You know, it's not just our downtown and our businesses there. I've been getting a lot of calls recently from residential neighborhoods. So, you know, these people are getting in the woods along areas along the railroad tracks and you know, going up to people's houses and walking through their yards and things like that. So, you know, I'm glad to see the asset map. I think that's a good tool for everybody to know the services that are there, to try to figure out how to strengthen those and not necessarily try to duplicate everything, but find the services each group can provide best, that has the best competitive advantage to providing those services, and that they can let people know. And that's one thing, you know, I think everybody's mentioned. The long-term solution, it's going to take time and it's difficult, but it's got to include something to deal with mental health and something to deal with drug abuse, because those seem to be the underlying issues that really affect people in this situation. So, you know, how you get to that, knowing these services, having people maybe that are, again, people have to be willing to enter get the services. So, but I think there are there, and that's one thing that does draw some of these people from not outside our community here, because they know how giving our community is, that we really are fortunate that we have a giving community. But I think it's another tool to try to help alleviate the problem in the short term. But as I say, that meeting and when we left, you know, this is the beginning of many conversations. And so hopefully as a community we can find a way to address this problem in a way that's beneficial for the businesses, beneficial for the residents, and most importantly, beneficial for those that need.
Yeah, we all know this is growing. The homeless population just keeps growing. It's a delicate subject, and it has to be a subject that is constantly talked about. And can you not hear me? Okay. But this is a community problem. It's going to take this whole entire community to get this problem, this situation under control. And it's not going to be easy. There's people out there by choice. They don't want no help. That's going to be difficult to deal with. But somehow we got to figure out, you know, a mechanism that is workable for the community. And then you've got people out there that, you know, they've just had a streak of bad luck. And they want help. So as a community, we need to try to reach out and find those people and help them get back on their feet. But we're not going to be able to help them all, because all of them don't want help. And it's a catch-22. We've heard it all for years that there's a lot of resources in Virginia for this and that and everything else, and we're known around the country for it. However, we end up at the end of the day with this situation here, it has to be a very well-balanced mechanism, because if the community thinks that this can be fixed with just pouring a bunch of money into it and providing all their needs, you have created a nightmare. This town will be flooded with homeless people and vagrants. It's a very unique situation, and it's going to take the community to navigate through this. It's not that nobody wants to help them. Nobody wants to see anybody go hungry. Nobody wants to see somebody running or walking down the road barefooted and the clothes on their back just falling off. But we got to have the community come together to address all this and find that balance to where the wanting of doing good doesn't create a disaster of harm, because it's going to be a teeter-totter on how to pull this off. It's going to take the churches, it's going to take government, it's going to take private businesses, it's going to take the council, it's going to take the city finances. We can all pitch in and address this issue, but we got to do it in a way that the end results is not going to devastate this city.
If there's no further discussion, all good points were made up here, and it is a complicated issue. We do have a motion and a second for the second reading of the ordinance by caption only. So, clerk, please call the roll.
Hartley,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Wingard,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes. So, a reading of the ordinance by caption only.
An ordinance to add section 74-8 to chapter 74, article 1, in general, to the city code pertaining to camping on public sidewalks and rights of ways within the city.
Okay. So now we're looking for a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance.
I move for final adoption of the ordinance as presented.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for the adoption of the ordinance. Clerk, please call the roll.
Hartley,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Wingard,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
And council, I'd just like to add, the ordinance does not take effect for 30 days per our charter. So
Okay.
even though it's passed tonight, it will be in effect 30 days from today.
Okay. Thank you. The next item of our agenda is our consent agenda. What's the pleasure of the council?
Move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Clerk, please call the roll.
Hartley,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Wingard,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes. That's the last item of our agenda. If there's no further business, we stand adjourned.